Hello and welcome to Toastmasters in the Community. I'm your host, Fran Okeson, the Area 64 Director this year. With me today is Jeffrey Duquesne from District 46, where I used to be a member. How long have you been in Toastmaster, Jeff?
2002.
Oh, at the end of my term.
Correct.
That's right. So Nick LeBeau was your district governor at the time. Very, very good. Okay, we'll hear from you in a little while. I want to thank my crew. Several of our key members of our crew are over at the District 83 Fall Conference today. They'll be back next month. So let's get the show on the road. We have a nice show for you today. I'm the first speaker, and I am doing speech number 7 from the Basic Manual, Research Your Topic. Patricia Price, who was on our first meeting this morning, is my evaluator, and my title is Staten Island Points of Interest. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and the home audience. I'd like to give you a little idea of the value of taking a trip across the many bridges to get to Staten Island. People used to think Staten Island was just the home of the Staten Island landfill, but it's much, much more than that. They're rebuilding that into a beautiful parkland, and it will be set up probably after I'm no longer around. It probably will take a long time to get it all set up. Anyway, there are some things I want to touch on, and I want to expound on one of my favorite places. We have the Alice Austin House Museum, where they have tours, and Alice Austin was a very early Victorian photographer. Very, very famous. If you've never heard of it, just put her on Google. The conference house is a couple of miles away from my house, and they often have candlelight tours. They have a lot of social functions there, a lot of educational programs too. Fort Wadsworth is where Battery Reed is. And a few years back, when John Greiner was the Toastmasters International President, I was asked by Heminder Chaudhry, our district governor at the time, would I take his wife around and show her Staten Island? And that's one of the places Joan Marizio and I took her to Fort Wadsworth. And with all the old buildings and the ancient wall and all this stuff, she said, "Is that really the Narrows out there?" And I figured, well, I guess if you're from Illinois, I guess you came all this way to see the Narrows, and yes, that was the Narrows, and Brooklyn was right across there. But that was her big thing. The next one, Snug Harbor Cultural Center. We took her there. We took her to just about all of these places. We had a wonderful day at Snug Harbor, and I'm going to skip over what the next part, which is the final thing. Staten Island Candy Factory. Let me tell you, people, I have been going to the Staten Island Factory when they were in Richmond Town, then they were over in Travis, and now I'm not sure where they are, but they have homemade candies to delight the palate, the boxing, everything's original. It's all made right there, and they give tours. You pay $3, you go on a tour, you see a movie of where the chocolate is harvested. On your way out, they give you a basket of chocolates. It's a fantastic place, Staten Island Candy Factory. Staten Island Zoo has a reptile wing. They used to have jalopy, the big old turtle that died very, very old. The Alma Harder Nursery, I like to point her out because Alma Harder was the minister's wife of the church across the street from my home, and she also became a member of my Women's Club of Tottenville, and she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. And when they built the nursery at the Staten Island Zoo, they dedicated it in her honor, and a lot of us from the Women's Club went to support her. Wagner College Planetarium, my neighbor down the block is the director of the planetarium, who was on the show a year or so ago, Dennis. And he just, I'll hope to try to get him back again. He's very, very knowledgeable. Now, the thing that I like, one of my favorite places is the Staten Island Botanical Garden, which is part of, it's on the grounds of the Snug Harbor Cultural Center. Now, from my records, they have 23 individual gardens. So if you're into gardening, that's the place to go. The Vanderbilt Orchid Collection is there. And they have, well, when I used to be active there, they had a strawberry festival. And when I was asked to participate in the Strawberry Festival, I asked if I could run a baby parade, which I did. And our Conservative Party chairman, Pierce O'Callahan, whose wife, Mac, is a wonderful community-minded woman. But Pierce, all of a sudden, without telling me, went around the grounds and came back with about 15 children to put them at the last minute into the baby parade. It was so much fun to see Pierce O'Callahan with all these little toddlers following him back. It was a great day. But the Staten Island Botanical Gardens, let me tell you a little about that. All right? I mean, the Chinese Scholars Garden. Chinese Scholars Garden, you have to go with a camera. You can't do it any other way, with a camera. It is beautiful. They have guided tours. I have never gone with a guided tour. I've been there 4 times. I've taken groups. I love forming groups and going places. But one day I saw a Chinese lady with a group of about 5 or 6 people, and there are Chinese characters on some of the walls when you walk around. And I stopped her and I said, "Are you an interpreter?" She said, "Yes, I am. Would you like a tour?" I said, "Well, not today, but definitely to keep in mind." So when I can walk a little bit better, I will try to get a group and go down. It's just beautiful. In the same garden, they have a koi pond. Beautiful orange fish. They're like big orangey catfish or something, but they're the koi, K-O-I. But I found out that if you walk down the path along the koi pond, the fish will follow you. And if you turn back, they follow you. And I kept doing this until somebody came over and they said, they want you to throw them some bread. I didn't have bread, and you're not supposed to feed fish in ponds like that because it gets stagnated. But if you walk, I guess people do feed them because those fish just turned around and just kept following us. The gazebo is a place, bring a lot of film. The gazebo, I want to show you the pagoda. Now I like photography and I love taking pictures. I studied photography at Hunter College and I love pictures. This is a picture I took, Jeffrey, I'm sorry, but I took this of the pagoda in the Chinese Scholars Garden. This is a magical, magical place. And I just hope that I can encourage some of you to take a trip to Staten Island. See what Staten Island has to offer. We're accessible by all the bridges and a ferry. You can even swim across from New Jersey. You can even swim across from Manhattan. Isaac can swim across from Brooklyn. There are so many ways to get to Staten Island, and we used to have an airport on Staten Island, right over where the Staten Island Mall is now. And I have to tell you about that airport. I went out with a fella named Jim. I won't give his last name. And he was very, very interested in flying. And he asked me one year if I'd like to go for a plane ride. And it was a 2-seater Piper Cub. And it was after Christmas. And there was snow and ice all over the ground. But he still wanted to take me on a half-an-hour flight. So I got all dressed up, wore my new winter coat. And he said, "Why are you all dressed up?" I said, "Because you asked me out." Okay. Well, I climbed up into the silly plane. It's about this wide. I wasn't this wide then, but, you know. And it was, you couldn't move your arms. And there was a stick right between my legs because I was a lady and I was in a dress. And that stick was cold. And we left the airport, and all of a sudden we're up in the air, and he said there was a ship there. He said, "You want to see a close-up?" And I said, "Well, I could see it." He turned that plane right over the top of the ship. And then he said, "Okay, you're on the stick." I said, "What?" And this thing's moving between my legs. I said, "Jim, he said, "You're on, steer the thing." When I got down, some man came out of the hangar and said, "Did you get clearance to borrow that plane today?" I have a picture somewhere in my house, and I will find it, with Jim standing in front of the plane and me as green as a watermelon. But anyway, I have so many experiences. And yes, Kevin, I am trying to write the story of my life, and I don't know if I could live long enough to get all the silly things that happened to me in the course of my 80 years. But anyway, Staten Island, the Botanical Gardens, and we have many, many more things on Staten Island to encourage you to visit. And that's my first speech.
Very good.
Thank you. Too bad you're not my evaluator. All right, Joan, we finally let you up to the lectern. Joan Maurizio, past area governor a couple of times, few times maybe, distinguished Toastmaster of the 3rd level. You're doing speech number 5 in the basic manual, Your Body Speaks. You have 7 minutes, and Annalene D. is going to be your evaluator. And Joan's speech, it sort of piggybacks on Isaac. What to know before you take that cruise. Let's all welcome Joan Maurizio. How things tie together, right?
Madam Master of Ceremonies, fellow Toastmasters, and the viewing audience. Before I even begin, the facts about what Reader's Digest has to tell us and warn us about how scary a cruise can get if you don't know what's going on, I want to put some pictures in your mind and put you at ease. They talk about these big, big ships, like Isaac was saying. You may as well be in somebody's 80-room mansion because some of the things are interesting. One of them is boutiques. Have that in your mind for the female shopper in the audience. Another one is fine dining, which everybody loves. Then there are the lounges, and for anybody, male or female, masseuse or spa treatment. Then there's the night sky, which you cannot catch in the city, but if you get out on the ocean, it's beautiful. Then there's the ocean waves. There's the fresh air. You may pass glaciers, mountains, villages, and even get to see some of the people that look like tiny little bugs running across the land. There's great photography if you brought your camera. Don't forget the film. And then with the night sky, think about the horizons of the sunrise and the sunset. You're going to pick one or the other as your favorite. And don't forget your sunglasses and your sunblock, because no matter what time of the year it is, that sun will get you. Now for the interesting part of the speech. The all-inclusive rate does not include alcohol, tips, shore excursions, internet, and gambling. And they said, P.S., if you want to gamble on our boat, we don't have to answer to too many people. Your chances of winning are even worse. Choose a cabin wisely. Avoid it if it's under a gym, if it's under a disco, a pool deck, or has late-night activities. Also, don't choose the front of the ship if you get a little seasick, because there's always that up and down motion. So if you're going to be sleeping and you want to get to bed early because you're going on an excursion the next day, but the disco goes on till 2 o'clock in the morning, that's not very happy for you to be trying to go to sleep to. Pop music. If permitted, take a charging station or a power strip. And I didn't know this myself. They only have 1 to 2 outlets in each room. So you're better off. That little thing is pretty heavy, the power strip. If it's all metal, put it in your luggage. It pays to take it. Don't park the car at the cruise terminal. It's $20 to $30 a day. It may be even more now. Park further away and use shuttle service. And not just that, if you let them know where your car is and leave the key, they'll have your car warmed up and ready, waiting for you when the ship docks again, or the cruise ship docks again. In 2011, they show that 2/3 of the sex assaults caused on the cruises were by crew, and it's because it's very hard to press a crime. They say stay safely with a friend and try not to overdrink. It's a big problem. Pay a fraction for land excursions by you doing the tours yourself. Go to a tour company ahead of time, save a whole lot of money if you do it yourself. Another thing about the cruise ship is the norovirus outbreaks that they have. In 2016 alone, in the first half of the year, there were 11 outbreaks. This causes terrible stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. So they keep stressing, wash your hands, wash your hands. Walk around with those handy wipes. I think they're one of the best things that were ever created. The other thing is, you wonder about the water. Where's all this water that's being freely flowing on the ship? It's that they have their own desalination system, and it provides all the water they need. It removes the salt and it removes impurities. Every now and then they have a sewage problem. That's when they warn you, do not drink the water for the next half hour. Last-minute promos are a thing of the past. Don't say I'm going to book the cruise and wait for the great price. No, because inexpensive rooms sell out first. If you wait, you're going to get the most expensive rooms and not at a break. And another thing is petty crime. And this is unreal. Petty crime is so prevalent, they say, please leave your valuables at home. If you have to wear a necklace, get something that's made of zirconia stuff and not the real stuff. It says they are not they're not committed to report a crime unless it's at least $10,000. So I thought that was strange, because I know that's the ruling here. It's not grand larceny unless you steal at least a $10,000 car. We really do train for pirate attacks. And they say, look at the fire hoses when you see them. They're huge. That's so that if the pirates attack them, that's one of the weapons they use. And then they say Wi-Fi on board the ship is not as good as it is on the land. A lot of people will take their excursions, they'll bring their stuff with them, and they'll use the Wi-Fi that's available on land. So this is what they recommend, and I would recommend you to do the same thing. Do I have a plan to go on a cruise anytime in the future? I don't even have a passport, but I will tell you, I enjoyed a cruise where we went around Manhattan. We saw Bear Mountain, a couple of other very nice places, and I had one of the most fun days because I was with a friend. And that's why they say, go on a cruise with a friend, a spouse, somebody you love. Don't take somebody you hate, including your spouse. I'm kidding. The thing is, you enjoy it so much better. You don't need somebody to nag you. So really, a lot of people go on separate cruises. They take their friends. They're married, yes, but they want to be separate for 2 weeks. The other thing is, we went on a glass-bottom boat cruise in Bermuda, and I saw the most beautiful fish that I have not seen. I have not seen since, and I probably will never see again unless I go back to Bermuda. But then again, the fish are disappearing. Some of the food chains disappearing as life goes on and pollution goes on. But enjoy your next cruise. Don't forget to do these things, and don't forget, especially women, be very, very careful, because they're really not watching out for you. They've already collected the fee. What are you going to do? Go home and complain? You can get part of your money back if something happens, but not all of it. But have a great time. Happy cruising.
Thank you very much, Joan. Let's see. Oh, Kevin, you're back. All right, our next speaker is Kevin Thompson again, Distinguished Toastmaster, and you're doing speech number 10 from the Basic Manual, Inspire Your Audience. And Ken Raftery is your evaluator, and he's got all the apparatus to tape you, organize you, put you in pockets, and then show you on the internet. And your title is The Secret Problem in Your Organization. Let's all welcome back again Kevin Thompson.
Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and my viewing audience at home, did you know that you have a problem in your organization? I know you didn't. You know why? It's a secret. But today, I'm going to expose for you the secret problem in your organization. Have you ever come across a person that you did not get along with at work? All right? If you've ever met a person that you didn't get along with at work, raise your hand. All right? So, those of you that did not raise your hand, you're probably the person that they didn't get along with. The Gallup organization has reported that only 1 in 3 people in an organization reported that they were engaged at work. 1 in 3 people. And they've reported this for 3 consecutive years. Right, so think about that for a minute. Only 1 in 3 people are engaged at work. Bruce Tuckman is a former professor at the University of Ohio, Ohio State. In fact, he just died this year. But he came up with a model, with a system that we all are familiar with. And he did this in 1965. And it's his system of group dynamics. And so this is how the system starts. It starts over here with forming. So when you have a group, an organization, a group of people get together, a team, they start to form. That's here. And then they move from forming over here to storming. And that's, people are not really working well together, and they're fighting, and there's infighting and jostling for position and power. And then they move from storming down to norming. And that's when things start to settle down, people start to work together and harmonize. And the intention is for them then to move over here to performing. So you have forming, storming, norming, and performing. The problem is, in the United States, 97% of our organizations are stuck over here in storming. Now, I'll give you the inside secret why. Because 2 out of every 3 people are disengaged at work. So now, if you are sitting next to a person at work, or you're sitting next to a person watching this video, I would recommend that you do only one thing, and one thing alone, and that's keep your eyes on me. Do not look to your left, do not look to your right, because if you do, the person that you're looking at might be that disengaged person. And people who are disengaged, disengagement can increase into conflict when you make eye contact with them. So what's the solution? The solution is to understand what the problem is, and that problem is conflict at work. And one of the things that you need to do is to focus in on developing a better team structure, improving communication. Do you realize that the majority of the problems that we have within an organization are communication-based? People not getting along with each other, people not understanding each other's positions, people not being able to communicate well. And yes, Toastmasters can be an avenue and a vehicle toward reaching that goal, but it's not the only avenue and vehicle that you need to use. You need to understand the dynamic of human behavior. And the model that I like to use is the DISC model. And in the DISC model, it is direct, interactive, steady, and conscientious. And these are the four models of human behavior. All of us have aspects of these four quadrants in our behavior and how we interact. The key, though, is understanding who you are as an individual and how you are perceived by the other people in those other quadrants. So if you are a direct and you're dealing with a direct, that's easy. You both like to be challenged. You both love to question, and when you're questioning, you're engaged. Diagonally across from the direct is the steady. The steady is very quiet, shy. Direct is fast-paced. Steady is slower-paced, and it's those differences that create the opportunity for conflict at work. A direct, if they are challenged, will come back at you, and a steady will not. So if a direct and steady person have to work together in a boss and employee relationship, it can create a problem, especially if the direct is the boss and the steady is the employee. The steady might think that their boss is angry at them and yelling and raising their voice, because people who are steady speak at an even tone. They don't normally raise their voice, and they want for everyone to get along. The direct, they don't care. They'll speak fast and will challenge you. And it's this dynamic, this conflict between the two that creates a problem. Understanding, if you're a direct, that when you are speaking to your employee that's a steady, you need to slow your pace down. You need to bring your voice tone down. You need to engage them and give them an opportunity to respond. Because if you do, it provides an opportunity to make a connection, for you to be able to embrace their thoughts and for them to actually hear you. When you're a fast-paced speaker and you speak like I normally do now, because I'm fast-paced, it sounds like to somebody who's slower-paced. And you've seen people walk around with shirts, all I hear you saying is blah, 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 blah. In reality, that's really all they hear you saying is blah, 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 blah. And they can't even understand what it is. And what happens is, so before I understood this, I would get upset. What's wrong with you? Don't you get it? And the more aggressive that I became, the more an S, a steady person, would step back. And so the perfect example is my daughter and myself. So as a parent, I told my daughter, okay, we're going to leave the house at 12 o'clock. My expectation as a D is that 11:45, the car door is closed. We are in the car. The car is rolling. All right? She didn't get it. And before I understood this human behavior thing, we always knocked heads. Afterwards, though, I said, okay, what I need to do is to establish a relationship where we can both be successful. Establish goals and mile markers that we can measure our interaction with each other and measure the success of what we're doing. So I'd wake up in the morning to say, Cassandra, okay, we got to leave the house at 12 o'clock. Did you get breakfast? Did you take your shower? You would take your shower by 10. did you pick out your clothes? You need to have that done by 11. And, you know, it's a girl, she got to do the hair, figure out what she wants to wear, and all this other stuff. She knows now at 11:30 that she's downstairs and dressed and we're moving. By doing those types of things, and that's just an example, by doing those types of things, it provides an opportunity for communication and for you to appreciate each other. That's the type of communication that you need to have in your organization, between teams, within departments, and also with your customers. Those are the types of things that I love to teach people, and those are the types of things that will benefit your organization. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you. Our final speaker today is Jeffrey Duquesne, Distinguished Toastmaster from District 46, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Welcome to Staten Island. Have you been to Staten Island before?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And where did you go?
Playing baseball. I used to have a
Little
baseball.
League?
No, I used to have a team. I used to travel around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Staten
know.
Island, New Jersey, etc. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Okay.
Do you want to be on the list to come to our game this summer?
Okay.
Down to Staten Island Ballpark?
Sure.
Who do you want to bring with you?
My wife.
Fine. Can I have her name, or is it a secret?
Cookie.
She was christened Cookie?
Gladys.
Oh, okay, all right. That's funny. My sister-in-law is Gladys, and I think that was either her or her sister's nickname. But anyway, all right, let's see what you're going to talk about. I know it's going to be very deep, so I'm very sincere, and I shouldn't have turned my page off, but I just got interested. Haven't seen you in so many years.
Okay.
All right, you're doing speech number 4 in the technical presentations advanced manual, presenting a technical paper. You have 10 minutes. Isaac Obinovich is your evaluator. And the title is, Are You Turning Your People into Client Magnets? Let's all welcome Jeffrey Duquesne.
Fran, I wish you, Kevin, and Joan had been with me 18 years ago, sitting at a wealth building seminar conducted by my leader, Peter Matz. Pete was having great success explaining how he had made a transition from a job into a business of his own. Pete was encouraging, inspiring, motivating people through the concepts, ideas, and thoughts from books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, Life is Tremendous by Charles Tremendous Jones. But on the other hand, preparing his children for college was a completely different story. So through the miracle of mindfulness, sitting for peace, wisdom, knowledge, and enlightenment, you can coordinate hearts and minds, eyeballs and ears to learn new things and to achieve more. So thinking fast and slow, one night at dinner, Pete decided to use what he was learning. And he began the conversation with, I like $100 bills. And then he asked each student at the dinner table, do you like $100 bills? And the response coming back was, oh yeah, I like $100 bills too. Then he made his proposal. For every A you get this semester, I will give you $100. That first semester cost him $3,000. And he kept this up all during high school. And each student got into the college of their choice. And I sat there and I said, wow, I wonder, could behavioral economics also work in business? Abraham Maslow says that human beings are multidimensional and aspirational. Are you aspirational? Are your children aspirational? Are those 10, 100, or 1,000 people that you lead, manage, or supervise, are they aspirational? Because no one rises to low expectations. I work with high-growth chief executives wisely implementing unique relationship growth strategy result processes. achieving double-digit improvement in their sales and service growth strategy results, even if pressured by short-term shareholders. In the next 3, 5, 8 years, will you achieve 50, 80, 130% improvement in your sales and service growth strategy results? Since August 15th, 1971, when America left Bretton Woods, risk, speculation, and volatility has increased. The president of Better Markets, Dennis Kelleher, says that the 2008 financial crisis was a $12 trillion, with a T, speculative, toxic asset price bubble tsunami, affecting the $72 trillion world economy and the $17 trillion American economy. Thomas Friedman says that the world is flat, that distance is history, that you live in a hyper-competitive, worldwide, global, volatile economy. Now, I live in the Bronx, but you live in a hyper-competitive, worldwide, global, volatile economy. I am an analog guy in a digital world because I just learned how to program my video cassette recorder. It took me 10 years to get the blinking 12 o'clock to stop flashing. I told my wife, I said, honey, look, I can get rid of my beeper because there's a pager inside the cellular. And my wife said, Jeff, even Dick Tracy knows with his wristwatch radio that 5 years from now, devices like this will be 10 times faster and 10 times cheaper, and you'll still be 10 times dumber. So stop using your incompetence as a weapon. Wives are wonderful people.
I'll meet her at the ball game.
By the year 2050, there will be an additional 2 billion capitalists on the planet. By the year 2186, we will achieve gender pay equality. Is your sales and service growth strategy dead on arrival? Or are you turning your people into client magnets? In the next few minutes, you'll pick up a unique relationship growth strategy result process to allow you to grow an enterprise that's one of a kind instead of one of the crowd. Bored with his first job, Tony Hsieh co-founded a company. It grew so fast that he hired all of his friends. When he ran out of friends, he kept hiring. After a year with 100 employees, he was so disgusted he didn't even want to get out of bed. Selling the company, he responded to a proposal for shoes online, because the shoe industry was a $50 billion industry, of which 4%, or $2 billion, was sold through mail-order catalogs at the time. Joining Zappos, applying the science of happiness through Maslow's hierarchy, Zappos went from 0 to $1 billion in sales 2 years ahead of schedule, joined the Fortune list of 100 best companies to work for. Zappos learned that of their top 10 values, humility was one of the most important. So on the interview, they asked the candidate, are you humble? Show of hands. You believe that, right? 1, 2. I have a handful. Okay. Zappos is located in Las Vegas. Zappos runs a shuttle service from the airport to the casinos to their headquarters. After the final interview with the department head and the immediate potential supervisor, they asked the shuttle operators, is the candidate humble? Does the candidate treat other people like human beings? Zappos people have to be humble. They have to be competent. And they have to be coachable, because they don't use a script. If a candidate feels they cannot succeed in the Zappos system, Zappos will pay them for their time, plus give them a $4,000 bonus to quit after training. One time, Tony was at a trade show bragging about how Zappos was growing through outstanding service. It just so happened they all got back to the hotel after room service had ended. So flippantly, Tony said, call Zappos. So one of the other trade show attendees took him up on his challenge. And when she got on the phone, the operator responded by saying, you know we sell shoes. Yeah, I know you sell shoes, but we're really hungry here. I said, I'm going to place you on hold. And she came back to the phone 2 minutes later with 5 pizza locations in the Santa Monica area that were still delivering at that hour. Now, you and I are friends, so let's please keep this story between us. But would your call center do the same thing? Is your sales and service growth strategy dead on arrival? Or are you turning your people into client magnets? Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you very much. And without a script, how about that? Thank you. I know what you could do with that $100 bill. No, very honestly.
Okay.
You can pay a year's dues and join this club and come more often than you are now, and I'll give you $10 back. Would you like to be a member for a year?
Yeah, sure.
Even with that, really?
Yeah.
I'll shake your hand.
All right. You're going
Thank
to teach
you.
me how to do this, right?
A what?
You're going to teach me how to do everything, right?
You want to join the crew
Sure.
as a member of the club?
Yeah.
You'll have to talk with Victor. We'll
Okay.
talk later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And before you forget, I'll take the money.
I get $10 back.
I'll give you your $10 back. It won't be as wrinkled. No, I don't. Is it okay?
Yeah, I need to learn.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jeff. Gee, I got to see how many other people in 46 would like to be part of 83. But I'll give it to you before you leave. Oh, it's evaluation time. I almost forgot. Boy, we had some great speeches today. That
Thank
was
you.
monumental.
Thank you.
Anyway, okay. First speaker. Oh, that's right, Pat. You're evaluating my speech. I almost forgot. I should show my picture again to let the home audience, if they were out getting food or at one of those hotels. This is at the Staten Island Botanical Gardens, the Chinese Scholars Garden. So many things there. All right, Pat, I did the speech, number 7 speech, research your topic, and why don't you tell the audience while I dig up a $10 bill change for Jeffrey, and I'll see if I have an application. I'm not even sure if I'm carrying one. Thank you very much, Pat. Why don't you go ahead?
You're welcome. Toastmasters, audience, and Fran. Your topic was research for your topic, and the title was Staten Island Points of Interest. Your objective was to find something important for the audience that requires an amount of research. For Staten Island, I've been here about 3, maybe 4 times. I knew nothing of its points of interest. So was your information valuable? 100% valuable. I learned about the points of interest, in which what stuck to me most was the picture that she showed of, I believe it's called a pagoda, from the Chinese garden. Your topic was well organized. The support material you didn't have much of, you had the picture, so my recommendation was, as you mentioned the points of interest, it would have been good to see pictures of those as well. What captivated me most of all, as well as besides the picture, was your familiarity with the topic, and I could tell that you live here because you mentioned names and you shared stories along with sharing the points of interest, which brought me in more, as opposed to you speaking of it as if you was reading it from a card. You brought you into it. You brought the surroundings as well as the people, the friends that you knew to the story, which helped to captivate me. I thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, and I got that idea from listening to Kevin in this morning's show to tell stories. See, you learn by listening. Please don't take my manual home because I'll need that again. I bet I don't have an application, but I will handle it though. Hello, Anna-Lane. Anna-Lane, oh, you're going to take a cruise? I thought you'd be a good evaluator for Joan's Cruise because I think you're adventurous enough to want to go on a cruise if you haven't already. So Anna-Lane D., let's hear your evaluation of Joan's
Madam
speech.
Toastmasters and guests. Yes, I would love to go on a cruise one day, and that was very, very informative and very helpful. Thank you, Joan. I'm doing evaluation on your body language and how you're presenting through your body language. I think it was very well presented, very informative, And I thought it was really, for your personality, it was great that you shared some experience, even though you haven't really been on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise. I would love to, so it was very helpful. So your body language, everything was very good, and your facial expressions. And I think in the beginning, you had a list of things, of criteria, so I was looking at you looking down a lot. I thought it would be helpful if you looked up more, up and down. So just that little tweak and maybe a little hiccup with your speech. But other than that, I thought it was very, very well spoken, very well expressed. So thank you. Now I can be prepared more to go on a cruise.
Thank you very much, Anne-Elaine. And Ken, you were evaluating Kevin's speech. Ken and Kevin, I didn't realize that. Okay. Thank you, Ken. Oh, you're going to do it electronically, I see.
Yes, because Kevin forgot his manual, so I happened to have my MacBook here from my earlier speech. It worked out perfectly. I just typed it as he was speaking. Yes, I really enjoyed Kevin's speech. He opened with a question, and I also liked how he said, "It's a secret." You got our attention, you used vocal variety within the first 30 seconds, and you got us involved by asking for a show of hands. I can relate to what you were saying. I've had problems with many coworkers, and trust me, it's their fault, not mine. Hope they're not watching this. You provided quotes and data to back up what you were saying, which was good. I liked how you talked about solutions, not just the problems. And I liked how you mentioned Toastmasters as a way to provide a benefit. The body language was great. The manual says, was the speaker forceful, confident, and positive? You certainly were. And again, when you use quotes like, slow your voice down, bring your tone down, you did just that, which was very good. Now, you mentioned 4 models, which you also called 4 quadrants. And I was thinking that's also a math term, the 4 quadrants in the Cartesian plane. Mm-hmm. But I would say a suggestion for improvement, when you're talking about 4 buzzwords, maybe have them like written down, like maybe a sign, a printout with the buzzwords. I think we're more apt to remember the words if we actually see them. But I also liked how you ended your speech with a summary. You referred back to your title. That's always a good way to end the speech as well. So overall, I enjoyed your speech today. Madam Toastmaster.
Very nice, Ken. We have to have you on more often so you can show your other appliances over there. You're putting other teachers to shame. All right, and let me see, Jeffrey. Oh, you have Isaac. Oh, there he is already. Hello there. How quickly you maneuvered the room. All right, Isaac, why don't you tell us what you think about Jeffrey's speech? And are you a magnet?
Yeah, it might be a magnet, but I don't know to what. It's like different magnets.
Okay. All right, let's hear your evaluation.
Madam
Isaac.
Producer, fellow Toastmasters, and the audience at home. Jeffrey is a very interesting and powerful speaker. He's also a professional speaker. And the presentation he made was both useful and interesting. My personal favorite is self-deprecating humor. Was kind of woven into the presentation seamlessly. We were sitting in the control room. I had like that's it, he got it. Another thing is that information was very well organized and very well laid out. What I would like to see improvement is vocal variety. One of the things that we have as in a manual is vocal variety. And it's not only speaking loud, speaking slow. No, it's cadence, it's the volume, it's everything, your vocal variety. Because when we get monotonous, it's kind of boring. Or when we're always enthusiastic, it also becomes same. So sameness is not good in a speech. So vocal variety, good gestures, good use of props. And what I liked additional with props, they weren't lingering. Jeffrey used the prop, put it back in a pocket. Okay? When it wasn't used, it was removed from the view. Good use of props. So good information, good delivery, just a little bit more vocal variety. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Jeffrey, I'm going to tell you, I've been watching the monitor with you.
Okay.
And the thought that went through my head through your whole speech was FDR, during his tenure as president, with his fireside chats. You just looked so comfortable and so relaxed there.
Oh, thank you.
And it was just, you just threw me back to an earlier age.
All right. Okay, good.
Speaking of politics. Anyhow, next week it all ends.
Thank God.
Yeah. Okay. Time for questions. Okay, Annalene. Okay, here comes the fun, Annalene.
Yes.
Your question is, please in the back. Annalene, very easy question for you. I think
Okay.
you'll like it. What do you remember most about your favorite teacher? And don't you wish you had Ken Raftery for calculus? Annalene,
Yes. Thank you. He's so tech savvy. My favorite teacher that I remember most was actually not one of my teachers. He was an 8th grade teacher and I was in 3rd grade. And he knew me because my brothers and sisters were older. He was the one that encouraged me to speak my voice. I was still very shy. I was in ESL because I came from another country. And I didn't speak at all, but I was having honors. And I was having straight A's, but nobody was bringing me up. I was still in ESL. So he was my favorite teacher, Mr. Silverberg. And I'll never forget him because he was the one that got me to go up to regular class and ultimately an honor student. So he was the one that fought for me for other teachers to push me up. So that teacher I'll never forget.
Thank you very much, Annalene. You always come up with a good answer. Thank you. Irene, I see you're already there. Thank you very much. Oh, this is a nice question for you.
Okay.
I told you I'll never hurt you or embarrass you, unless you force me into it. Irene, if you could read a book or watch a movie based on that book, which would you prefer to do? Irene Rosado.
Well, if I have the opportunity of reading the book first, it's very difficult to watch the movie because I interject storylines that are not happening. Although when I watch movies, and I do go to the movies often, I prefer the movies because they're more animated, the shoot-'em-up type of movies. Those are the ones that I like. I don't go to the movies for seriousness. I go for enjoyment. I'll go for the cartoons, and I just enjoy those type of movies. So I find myself going, I don't know if I like the book better or the movie better. But at times, I think the book is much better. It's much more in-depth and gives us a lot more storylines.
Good answer. See, I told you you'd have a nice question. Thank you. And now, Alkira. Are you coming up, Alkira? All right. There you go. Now, this is Annalene's son
All right.
and Lucy Kahn's grandson. We have the whole family here.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Alkira, and thank you for filling in for your sister. I know she just celebrated her 18th birthday and couldn't come today. All right, if you had the opportunity to represent the United States in the Winter or Summer Olympics, which would you choose and what sport would you enter? Alkira Jefferson.
Well, I would rather do the Winter Olympics, just because I'm not really into heat that much, and I do sweat a lot. So, yeah. And the sport in the Winter Olympics, I would do is bobsledding. I may not be a fan of roller coasters, but I am a big fan of water slides. So, so yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and you lived through that again today. Okay?
Yeah.
You're getting better every time you stand up there. Very good.
Thank you.
There's not too many young boys who would go up there and answer a
No,
question on
that's true.
television.
That's true.
And think of all the Staten Islanders who are seeing this show over and over that we're on many, many times. We have one main time, but we're on about 7 or 8 times during the month. So, Kevin, we're seeing a lot of you today. You really should have a...
You hadn't seen me for a couple of months, and now
I
you
know, I
now
know,
you see me, now you're complaining.
Oh, never.
Now, when you said a young boy, I thought you were talking about me.
Many moons ago, it would have been you, Kevin, yes.
Ah.
Kevin,
Well, I thought it was all relative, you know.
I know you said that you were my son, which got me
That made
sort of
us
worried.
relatives, you know what I'm saying.
I think this ought to end.
Okay.
I have a nice question for you. Kevin, listen carefully so you don't make a mistake in your dotage. Tell us about the silliest thing you ever did to leave a lasting impression on your grandson's minds. Kevin Thompson. At a loss for
Fran,
words,
oh
Kevin?
no, never. Especially around you. Fran, studio audience, audience at home. That is a very interesting question because I could probably go on and on and on. But what I'll choose is one of the things that I do for a number of people in my family, but especially my grandchildren love this. And that's when I sing Happy Birthday. So I sing Happy Birthday, and so I'll sing it for you so that you can understand. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to
Good Lord.
you.
Very good.
And they love that. Thank you.
Good Lord. You know, Kevin, that's very appropriate because we're not filming in July because it's the 4th of July weekend and my birthday is in July. So thank you for singing to me. How that worked out. Oh, Paul, you want a question? All right. Both sides, Jeff. Put your finger on a word, and then you can yell.
Word,
Yeah,
both sides.
yeah, just
Okay.
pick one at random, and you can
One at
tell
random.
Paul. No, you can tell Paul.
Dancing.
Oh,
What was the word?
dancing.
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 Okay.
You got up there,
Okay. Fair enough.
and the whole floor is yours.
Okay.
But
The light, fantastic. Interestingly enough, when I went to college, we had to take physical education, and one of the classes we had as an elective was dancing, and we actually had dancing classes. I wasn't a great class, but there was one gentleman there who was fantastic. The instructor could show him the dance steps, and this guy could just hang up there, and he was. The instructor always picked him, of course, and he could. This guy could whiz her around the floor, and he was just Mr. Fantastic. And I envied him, of course, and would wish I had his movement. So he was just like a natural dance person. Nowadays, you don't have to have very much, talent to do dancing. And my ex-wife, she was Dominican, and she insisted that I learn how to dance. And of course, I had to learn how to dance when I was with her. So dancing is an important part of my life.
Very nice.
When I was with her.
Very good.
Thank you.
we took dancing at the Mary Lewis Academy where we had to wear our white gloves, do all this formal dancing. And then my aunt sent me to the Arthur Murray Dance Studios.
Right.
And if I could move, I could still do the Lindy. That's the only thing I learned.
Okay.
All right, Jeff, you're on again. Let's put you to work as a new member of this club.
What am I doing?
Pick out another word. We have time for another speaker.
Okay.
Somebody run quickly. Somebody.
Somebody run.
Just point, but don't look. Just point
Just
at
point,
anything.
don't look?
Just point, and then you can tell them. Okay, Pat Price is back up again. Read it because I took my glasses off. No, when you belong to this club, you work.
Movies/plays.
Movies/plays.
Let's give her a round of applause. Come on.
I prefer plays over movies. And the reason being is that you can see a movie over and over again, and you will pretty much see the same thing and perhaps pick something that you missed. But when you go to a play, it's never the same because the actors are coming from within their spirit. So you will see a play, the props will be the same, but the aura or the vibes that come from the actors that are compelling or not compelling, it changes. And I prefer a play over a movie because of that.
Very nice.
Very good.
When I was to Broadway, I always stood outside with my playbill to get it signed. And one day it was teeming rain, and Peter and I went, we saw Helen Hayes. And the gentleman came out, and he said, it's raining here. Why are you still here? I said, because I want her autograph. And I took my Toastmasters pen with the Toastmasters International, and I asked her to sign my playbill with the pen. And I said, now that's for you. And Peter happened to catch a picture, and I love
that's
it.
great.
Yes. I'm going to give you a word.
A word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's 2 words, but it's
Two
one
words.
thought.
Okay.
Postage stamps.
Postage
Jeffrey
stamps.
Duquesne. Postage stamps.
Postage stamps.
I didn't say they were all easy.
Postage stamps are great. I mean, you had the forever stamp.
Cameras
stamp
over
now.
there.
You had the forever stamp now. So
Cameras there.
the
Look at
camera's
the-
right there, yes.
Oh, we're on that one now. Okay, 3 cameras.
The postage stamp, the forever stamp, has come into being. The post office is under siege because of the competition between FedEx and UPS, but more importantly, because of Amazon. Amazon has grown value-wise that people are talking about having Jeff Bezos purchase the post office and therefore eliminating postage stamps.
There's another whole speech in itself.
Right.
Well, last winter, I did not like the postage stamp that was made out of skiers and everything. I couldn't tell whether they were upside down or sideways up.
Oh,
I hated
okay.
those stamps. I like a stamp that, now I have a roll, and it's got the American flag on it.
All right.
All right. We have a minute. We have about 30 seconds for somebody to answer a question very quickly. If nobody does it, then I'll just have to chit-chat with
Ken.
Greg,
Here comes
with
Ken. Here comes Ken.
Ken. Yeah, Ken likes to run up there. All right. You want to give Ken a...
Get a kind of question?
Sure, just grab a word.
Oh,
He's used to this sheet that I have.
okay. Pollution.
Ah. And you have less than 30 seconds, so just very quickly. Do you like it or do you not like it?
Yes, I happen to love it. Just breathing in smog, what better thing to...
Ken goes on walking tours. He loves to walk the neighborhoods.
Oh.
So he probably sees a lot of pollution and garbage in the streets and all that other stuff. And I haven't asked him yet if he carries a bag to pick up the garbage as he goes along. But Ken, we'll have to put you on as a table responder next time because we're down to just 2 seconds. Okay? Yeah, you're counting already. All right, folks, please, if you want to have some fun, just give me a call. Join one of our clubs. You saw how easy it was today. Thank you. Listen, I prorated.